Happy holidays, everyone. Duchess here. In today's video, I will share with you the Christmas gift I made for my mother. Here is the original pattern for my apron, and I used muslin to create my design. Now, I laid only a half piece of muslin rather than using a large piece, and this is basically to save time and to save materials. So I laid that half piece on my assistant, started right through the middle. And since this is going to be just an apron that would open up, this makes it so much easier. I simply, when it was put on the center of the body, I created the center fold here. So when I make more of these aprons in the future, then all I have to do is just lay this on the center fold of the fabric, and then this will cut both sides. And typically after I've made my muslin pattern, I will go ahead and I'll do all the markings. I'll say what the item is. I'll even date it like I have put down in the lower right hand corner there. And this pattern also has a pocket, so I drew that out when I had the muslin piece against my assistant. The next phase is to use pattern paper. And this is where I go ahead and make my pattern. And this is officially the pattern that I will use when I am making my aprons. So I've already put my 5/8 inch seam allowance all the way around, even down to the seam line. Now, I don't have to worry about that on the fold line because it is going to be on the center fold. And I did this all the way around the top. So the seam allowance is already in the pattern and I don't have to worry about that. And then again, I go ahead and I put all my necessary markings on the pattern. And I've marked off where the pocket would be. Of course, the center fold is there, and then the name of what the item is. And then again, I put the date that I created the pattern. Other pieces included with the apron pattern include the pocket and one for the ties and the straps. Now, this pocket pattern was made by using pattern paper that was laid on top of the apron pattern, and then it was drawn out. And then I added all of the necessary information that was needed for this pocket. Now, since there will be no pocket on my mom's apron because there was not enough fabric to make that, if I was using this pocket, I would, of course, put it on the fold line. It would open up, and then I would stitch it down on two sides, and then it would create 3 deep pockets. So as you can see, I've put pocket, men's apron, one size, the date, and of course the fold line. Now, this pocket can be used for women as well, so it's not just for men. So now the next piece are for the ties and for the straps, and as you can see, I put on the pattern piece here that I need 2 ties and 2 straps. And of course I have my fold line, and then I have my 5/8 inch seam allowance, I have my date, and I have my grain line. Now that fold line is where I'm going to put the 2 edges together, and then that's going to be tucked under and it's going to be sewed. Now, this tie and strap piece is approximately 32 inches long and with a width of 3.5 inches. After I have completed using all my pattern pieces, I fold them all up neatly, and then I put them in a 6x9 manila envelope to be stored. Here's a last look at the apron pieces. You have the apron base and then you have the straps and ties. Now, there was a problem in the cutting process where this portion, which is the strap or tie, was shortened a bit, and that was from the curvy area of the apron. Now, this won't pose a problem because each end is going to be turned under 3/8 inch, and then these sections, or rather the edges, are going to be brought together, and then they're going to be sewn down. So this will be perfectly all right. Now, this has to be probably the most fascinating piece of fabric that I've worked with, and for the obvious reasons. And you see all the chemical elements here on the apron. And it's a shame that I was not able to get more than a yard of fabric. And I looked high and low to see if I could find more. I have enough fabric left to put at least one pocket here, so that will be perfectly all right. But as I said, this is just the most fascinating piece of fabric that I've worked with. And I'll get a little closer so you can see all the chemical elements. And you have oxygen, you have gold, plutonium, silver, yttrium, you have iodine, let's see, arsenic, hydrogen, plutonium, platinum. Just absolutely amazing. Now, this apron also is going to be a Christmas gift to my mother, and it's very special because my mom was a science teacher for a number of years. She specialized in biology and chemistry, so this is extra special. I showed the fabric to her, and she told me that she wanted an apron made from it, and so this is just going to be a delight to make for her. Now, what I typically do when I'm making my aprons, I put some interfacing between the front and the back section. And so I'm going to be using fusible interfacing. And then I have my backing. Now I have two options here. I'm going to move that over. I can use this red cotton fabric, or I can use this 100% cotton muslin. I could use that, but I really think that the red cotton will set off the design on the apron. So I'm really looking forward to using this now. Here are the strips after being pressed in preparation to be top stitched. Now, the two strips that were short in the cutting process, my mother did not want her ties to did not want to tie her ties around her neck, so she said that she wanted snaps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach this strip here to the top of the apron, and then what will go on next is I will just take the other edge and then I will bring it around. And more than likely what I'll do is with this other strip here, this will be just like some extra. And then say the snaps will be on here. And then that will just snap right on top like that, and that'll be off camera. I made two pockets, and I did the same with both of these pockets as I did with the ties and the strips. And that was to turn each of the edges in, and I turned them in and ironed them down. And so what I did here at the top is I turned it under 3/8 of an inch, and then I laid that down. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and just do a nice little clean stitch across there, and that will tack it down. And then I'll go around the perimeter of each of the pockets, and then I will do a top stitch. Also off camera, I went ahead and I ironed the fusible interfacing on the back of the apron, and I cut out one piece on one side. Now this interfacing was a medium weight fusible interfacing, and as you saw in the cutting process, the apron was cut on a fold, and given that the interfacing was 20 inches long, was 20 inches in width, it wasn't going to give me the type of folding that I would need as I did when I cut out the apron. So what I did was I was able to cut out at least one side, and then I had some leftover interfacing, and then I just went ahead and just put that together and just overlapped the pieces, and it worked out. Here's a last look at the apron before construction. You have the apron base and the lining, the straps and the ties, and the two pockets. Pinned the straps and the ties to the apron. How I make sure that the two sides are even is that I'll bring both ends together and I'll line them up on the edge, and as you can see here with the straps, they're even. And then I do the same with the ties, and they are too even. And this is in preparation to put the lining right over it. So I make sure that the ties and the straps are pinned in the middle so they don't get caught in the stitching. And then I just take the lining, and it's just like a little pocket, and I go ahead and just even everything up like so. And then what I'll do is I'll pin all the way around the perimeter of the apron, all the way around, and then I will sew all the way around the apron. And this side of the apron is already pinned down, and then I'll continue all the way around. Now I will make sure that there is an opening on either side of the apron, and then this will allow me, after I've sewn all the way around, to pull the apron out, and then it will be right side out. I'm going to start stitching the apron from the side, and this is the side where I'm going to leave the opening to turn the apron inside out. And I always, when I get to my ties and my straps, I always reinforce those areas, because that's where a lot of the stress is going to be put on the apron. Everything, and for some reason, from the inside out. And I have to make sure that I'm careful, because I have those pins holding the ties and the straps together, so I don't want to rip the fabric, the lining, or the front part of the front of the apron. So I have to be really careful. There we go. So now I can pull the pins out. And then I've got another, just pull that through. Okay, there we go. And then pull out the other pin, and there are the straps for the neck. Okay, and then here you are. And so now everything's nice and pulled out. Have it, looks very nice. And then to sharpen up the edges, I will just take my ripper, and I'm real careful to pull those ends out, not to rip the fabric. Make sure everything's nice and sharp. And then we'll go down here to the end of the apron, and we'll sharpen up that side, and then sharpen up this side, and then also to tighten up the ties here. I forgot that other side, so I need to go back and do that. So, and this is where you see where your everything lined up, so you don't have one strap or one tie higher or lower than the other. Everything's nice and even. And so there you have it. And then the lining's there, and of course that'll be ironed. And then with the opening here, I'll be able to take, after I've ironed this down, rolled everything back and then ironed it down, I can slip the label right through and just take a sew very close to the edge there, and then that'll catch the label. This is what the apron looks like after doing the top stitch, and as you can see, all the ends are nice and finished off, and all the way down to the bottom. Just a nice clean stitching along the edges, and then of course the inside looks really good. There's no footage of the pockets being put on the apron because I neglected to record the process. Now on to applying the snaps. I'm going to start to put the snaps on my mother's apron, and I'm only going to use one strap, and I'm going to swing this around where it will go around her neck, and then she could snap it over to her right side. Now I've marked off where the end of the strap is will end, and I marked that off with a pen, and I put that right there. And so I will put one snap here, and then I'll put a second one about right here. So this will give her two options. She can wear it with both of the snaps, or she can use just the one snap. Now these are the snaps that I have chosen to use, and they have your base here, and then you have the male part and you have the female part. And then the dies that I'm going to use, this would be for the female part, and this would be for the male part. Now I'm going to need approximately 4 snaps, so I will use 4 of the bases here, and there are 4 here, and you can see they're flat. And then I'm going to pull out 2 of the male parts, and this is the piece that will go on the top as the top snap, so there will be 2 there. And then I will use a female part, and I will use 2 of these, and I'll put that there. And so now I have a total of 4 pieces for the female, and then I have 4 pieces for the male. And this will be the press that I will be using. So I'm going to start with the male, since that is the top snap, and I will just screw that in at the top, and then this would be the base here that would this would be the base die, and this is where the snap would fit right in, like so. And I'll put that back in and make sure that's good and tight. Okay, and so we'll go ahead and we'll place the strap on this side. And what I usually do, which makes it so much easier for me, is if I have not marked it off on the strap, I will just go ahead and put the top portion of the snap right on the strap. So I've just gone ahead and I've pressed that in, So that's already have my placement there. And then I will take the male portion, and that's the female portion. And let's see. And I will just go ahead and place that right under the die, and that just sits right under. And then I will go ahead and let me move all the snaps over. And I will just go ahead and put that right under, and then I'll press it down. And then there you have it. There's one snap. Then I'll go back and make sure I have my placement good. Everything looks good. And then I'll go to the next snap and make sure I know exactly where I want the placement on it. And that will be right about there. So make sure I line it up with the other snap. It looks good. And everything's lined up. And then we'll go ahead and use the other male part. And we'll go ahead and put that right under the die. Snap that right under there, and you'll hear the click there. And put that right on the press. And then press it down. And that will come right out. And here you have your two snaps. And there you go. And now the fun part is to make sure that these other parts will line up, and make sure that lines up there. And I'll move the pattern weights here. So I'll make sure, and as I said, this is how I do this because I want to make sure that everything lines up. So I'll just put this right on the back of the fabric there, and you can see, and I'll just stick that in to make sure that it fits right in to that snap, and it'll pop right through the fabric there. And then it's going to require me taking off the male die and putting on the female die, and that's what that looks like. And I will just screw that in. And that now that I've got that one snap in, then I'll take the female part and I'll just snap that right under the die. And if I can get that under there. Actually, I've got it going the wrong way. There we go. And put that right on the base and press it down. Okay, and then pull that out, and there you have the other snap. Now I can go ahead and remove that pin because I've already figured out exactly where the strap will end. And we'll go ahead and test this, and works out fine. And sometimes if it doesn't snap right away, you may have to go back and press it again. And let me line this up again, and that lines up good. And I will go ahead and put this right under the bottom again and make sure that I'm filling the center of that top snap. And let's see, make sure it's lining up again. Might be a good idea for me to use that pin to hold this section down. Okay, there we go. And then make sure that everything is nice and neat there. Okay, and then I just take the top portion of the snap and make sure that I can fill the center there, because these two will be lining up. Okay, and then everything is good, and I just press it through. And then I take the female part and I just snap that right under and put that right under there and press it down really good. there you have it. You have the second snap, and it lines right up like it should. Okay, there we go. And now we have the snaps on my mom's apron. And so she has an option of having 2 snaps or using the one. She can move it up. Here's the completed apron with all the snaps. And of course you saw the 2 snaps that I put on earlier, and then I put a third one on. I cut off the other strap, and I left about 3/4 of an inch fabric here. And so I turned the end of it in, and I sewed that down as I did with the other portion here. And then I just folded it in half, and then I went ahead and sewed around the edge, and then I added my snap. So my mother has 3 ways to adjust her apron. And then also for some accent, I put 2 snaps on the pockets. So I have one here, and that snaps down very nicely. And then I added another snap there, and that snaps down. Now, for the back side, you can see what those snaps look like. And of course, you have the 2 or the 3 snaps here for the strap, and then you have the 1 snap for the top pocket and for the bottom pocket. So this is just a nice finished look on the apron in the back, and of course the stitching looks wonderful too. And so now the apron is ready to be ironed. I enjoyed making it. It only took me a day to do, and really half a day to do. So now the apron is ready to go to my mom and for her to enjoy. Just to be extra, I added this adorable bow. here's a final look at my mother's apron. In the meantime, if you would like to see more of my aprons, please visit my Etsy shop, MochaFinish. And as always, thanks so much for watching, and wherever you are in the world, may God bless and keep you.